Okay, this section of your review is the trig section. Okay, so we're going to do some things with trigonometry, so make sure you know your SOHCAHTOA, right? Sine is opposite over hypotenuse and such and such. Okay, a boy sitting on the ground looks up to see a balloon at an angle of 32 degrees. So all of these are going to be right triangles, right? This is all right triangle trig. So our boy is sitting here on the ground, and the balloon is up here in the sky. And the angle is 32 degrees. Okay, we're assuming that the balloon is always perpendicular to the ground. If the boy is 20 feet from directly underneath the balloon, that means the ground distance, right? Directly underneath the balloon. How high is the balloon off the ground? So we're trying to find that, the opposite side. So let's see, we have the opposite side is h and 20 is the adjacent side, which means that our trig is going to be the tan equation, or tan function. So tan 32 equals h over 20. And since our variable is on top, we're going to end up timesing in your calculator, so 20 times the tan of 32. And the height of this balloon is 12.497 feet when we round to 3 decimal places. 12.497. Okay, there's an angle of elevation. We are looking up from the horizontal. So standing on a 120-foot platform, so let's draw our platform. There's the platform, 120 feet. Susan is up here, is preparing to do a zip line. She looks down to a landing zone at an angle of depression. So remember, depression always comes from the horizontal. She's looking down at an angle of 25 degrees. Okay, and I guess this will be the zip line, and here is the landing zone down there. Okay, so our triangle is floating in the sky. Right, we want to know what is the length of the zip line. So the zip line is the diagonal distance of a zip line. If you've never experienced it, the zip line goes that way, right? Gravity helps you to go down some. So that's what we're trying to find, is the hypotenuse. So 120 is your opposite side to 25, and x is your hypotenuse. Opposite and hypotenuse, that sounds like a sine problem. So the sine of 25 equals 120 over x, the hypotenuse. Okay, and since x is in your denominator, we're going to end up dividing 120 by the sine of 25 in your calculator. Okay, number always comes first when we do this, and we find that that zip line is going to be 283.944 feet long. Okay, and if that's the kind of stuff you're into, that's probably pretty fun. 283-foot zip line. Okay, so that's an angle of elevation and an angle of depression. Remember, always made with the horizontal. You draw your horizontal line in first, and then your angle of depression comes down, and your right angle is always floating in the sky. Okay, your triangle is made up here. But something to remember, the angle of depression from the sky is the same as the angle of elevation from the ground. Okay, so if you want to turn it into a triangle like this, right, that is also mathematically correct. Okay, number 6, this is just straight up trig. This is the hypotenuse side, and 12 is the adjacent side, which makes this a cosine problem. Cosine 64 equals 12 over x. So once again, we have x in your denominator, so we're going to end up dividing in your calculator. 12 divided by cosine is 64 means we have a hypotenuse of 27.374, and I guess the units are inches to begin with. Sorry if that's hard to see. Okay, number 7, x is the opposite side and 8 is the hypotenuse to angle 72. So this is a sine problem. Sine 72 equals x over 8. Okay, your x is on top, so we're going to times in your calculator. 8 times sine of 72 means we have a side length of 7.608, as that's opposite side to angle 72. And then number 8, we have x as an angle. Okay, so this is the opposite side again, and this is the hypotenuse. So once again, this is a sine, but the sine of x. X is our angle, equals 16 over 22. Okay, and hopefully you're much better at this now, but whenever we're solving for an angle, we have to take the inverse sine of our fraction. Okay, the inverse sine. So trig sine inverse of 16 divided by 22 is an angle of 46.7 degrees. Okay, so when x is on top, you times in your calculator. When x is in the denominator, you divide in your calculator. And when you're trying to solve for an angle, you take the inverse in your calculator. That's the trig section.